So when inflation is there, there is continuous rise in prices. Now it discourages domestic consumption of goods, encourages imports. Also, it discourages exports because your goods are very, very high price because of the inflation. Cost of production is very high, and hence you will have to price your goods at a higher level, which the other country's person to whomever you are exporting does not want to purchase at this price. And therefore, government should see if inflation is checked and prices are lowered. And apart from that, exchange control. Government should control foreign exchange by ordering all exporters to surrender their foreign exchange to the central bank, and then ration out among the licensed exporter. Like for example, not everybody can export goods, right? So whatever foreign exchange they have, it should be surrendered to the government. They should get a proper authentic license, and then you should start exporting and importing. Now, apart from that, devaluation of domestic currency. What is actually devaluation? Devaluation is when a country has adopted, I'll give you an example, you will understand it better. Adopted fixed exchange rate system. Like fixed exchange rate system means $1 equal to rupees 50. If I have fixed my exchange rate, throughout it is going to remain only as $1 equal to rupees 50. It will not go up or go down depending on demand or supply or whatever. The rate is fixed, it is fixed, it remains fixed. So this is generally done by countries which are very strong. Like for example, China had pegged its currency with US. In the sense, China had fixed its exchange rate with US, and transactions were in terms of US dollars and Chinese yuan, etc. earlier. Devaluation means officially you reduce the value of your currency. It does not happen automatically as a process of demand and supply, but my government says I will reduce it so that my exports become cheaper and imports become costlier. Supposing I say $1 equal to rupees 50 is fixed. I am going to reduce it to $1 equal to 55. My currency's value is reduced when I make dollar costlier in terms of my currency. Can I say it that way? $1 equal to rupees 50 implies that to buy a dollar or to buy a dollar worth of goods, I have to pay 50 rupees of my currency. Now I make it 55 rupees, which means I make dollar even more costlier, or dollar worth of products even more costlier. That is what it implies. When I do this, so every time I want to buy a dollar or every time I want to buy a dollar worth of commodity, it is going to be expensive for me. So I will see as much as possible I will not buy. I will refrain from buying it. This is deliberately the government does it, right? It is an official reduction in the value of the currency. I hope you understand this. And as against this, depreciation happens as a part of demand and supply. Like for example, if Indian currency, Indian rupee is $1 equal to rupees 70, because more of dollar is demanded. Like I import more from US, then I will be demanding dollars more indirectly or directly. So what will happen directly, because I may have to pay in dollars. Indirectly, I am demanding their goods and services. It creates a demand for their currency in the market. Therefore, what will happen? I will say $1 equal to 72, which means it has become costlier. This has happened as a process of demand and supply. Whereas in this case, in the case of devaluation, it is a deliberate act on the part of the government. Depreciation, when demand increases, value of the currency in terms of another currency increases. Whenever we speak in terms of exchange, it is always two currencies involved by default. We may talk about one currency, dollar and INR I was talking about. Chinese yuan and US dollar. Two currencies are involved. If China has devalued its currency in terms of US dollar, right? So two currencies are involved by default. It is never one currency, it is exchange. Do you understand that? Can we proceed? So Indian currency has a floating rate. Value of it is determined by the demand and supply forces, or we call them as market forces. When demand for Indian national rupee goes up, value of it in terms of the other currency will go up. Usually in terms of dollar, euro we speak. And usually dollar is what we keep using. And then if demand falls, or if you start demanding dollar, then it is going to be Indian national rupees value is going to fall. Like for example, if I say $1 equal to 70 rupees today, tomorrow if it is $1 equal to 77 rupees, Indian rupee has depreciated against the dollar, or dollar has appreciated against rupee. Do you understand? It has become more costlier. I was requiring 75 rupees to purchase a dollar. Now I require 77 rupees to purchase a dollar. Supposing I say $1 equal to 75 today, and tomorrow it falls to $1 equal to 72, which means rupee has appreciated. I required 75 today, and the next day I'm requiring only 72 rupees. I don't need that extra 5 rupees. Therefore, dollar has become cheaper, or rupee has appreciated in terms of dollar. I hope you're following this. So when I devalue my currency, or when my currency depreciates, exports become cheaper because my currency's value in terms of the other currency is much lower. $1 equal to 77 means dollar in terms of dollar has appreciated. Obviously, they are going to purchase more of my goods because it will be cheaper for them. But then it also discourages imports, because imports become very costly. When I was requiring 70 rupees to purchase a dollar till yesterday, today if I require 77 rupees, it is expensive. So it encourages exports and discourages imports whenever there is devaluation or depreciation. Devaluation happens if it is a fixed exchange rate system. Depreciation happens if it is a floating exchange rate system where market forces determine your currency's value. So today we saw a recap of what was done till yesterday, and then what we completed till yesterday, and then we started seeing what is reserves and official settlement account talking about, and then we spoke about what are the causes of, what is a disequilibrium in balance of payment, what are the causes of disequilibrium, what were the factors, social factors, economic factors, political factors majorly, and then we saw what are the measures to correct your disequilibrium. There was a temporary measure that was devised, like when you have more of outflow, borrow money, when you have more of inflow, invest money, which is just a temporary thing. Otherwise, this will not help you in the long run. But then there were measures which we decided as a policy: export promotion, import substitution, and then we spoke about checking on your, reducing inflation, maintaining your exchange control, and then having depreciation and devaluation resorted to. Any doubts so far?